morning, everyone. Boker Tov. In this week's Parsha, Joseph is summoned to Pharaoh to interpret his dreams. And Pharaoh says to Joseph, I hear that you know how to interpret dreams. And Joseph remarkably says, no, it's not me. God will answer the interpretation of Pharaoh's dream. I'm merely a vessel. I'm merely a conduit to bring God's interpretation to you. And Pharaoh is so impressed with Joseph's interpretation that he says there's no one wiser and smarter than you. You're going to oversee the collection of the food and the storing of the food during the 7 years of plenty for the 7 years of famine. And it's remarkable to see Joseph's humility, that he says, my skills, my talents all come from God. It's up to God to give me the interpretation. But what's interesting is that Pharaoh then says to Joseph, well, there's no one smarter than you. There's no one wiser than you. And the Dubna Maggid gives a parable. He says a fundraiser once came to a wealthy man to ask for a donation. He sees the warehouse is filled with very expensive merchandise. And the rich man's afraid he's going to ask for too much money, thinking he's so wealthy. So the rich man says to the fundraiser, I want you to know all of this merchandise is not really mine. It was given to me on a line of credit. And the fundraiser responds to the rich man and says, well, the fact that they're willing to extend so much credit to you tells me that you're really a wealthy person. So too the Dubna Maggid says, Joseph says, my skills, my talents, my abilities to interpret dreams, it's not me, it's from Hashem. God gives me the interpretation. And Pharaoh says, I know, but the fact that God extends that line of credit to you, that God invested in you and gives you so much skills and abilities, means that you're really a wise person and most suited to interpret Pharaoh's dreams. But there's an amazing medrash. The medrash says that why did Joseph merit to be buried in the land of Israel and Moses didn't merit? And our rabbis say that when Moses ran away from Egypt and he came to the well, the daughter of Jethro met him and came home and told her father that at the well we met Ish Mitzri, an Egyptian man. However, in this week's Parsha, when the butler says to Pharaoh, I know someone who could interpret your dreams, he says, when we were in prison, we met a Jewish man, Ivri, Visham Itanu Nar Ivri, a Jewish lad who knows how to interpret dreams. He interpreted our dreams, the butler and the baker. So our rabbis say the following. They say, Moses, who hid his Jewish identity, passed himself off as an Egyptian, didn't merit to be buried in the land of Israel, because he didn't identify with the Jewish land. But Joseph, who even in prison identified as a Jew, he merited to be buried in the land of Israel. And here we see another remarkable facet of Joseph, that even though he was in Egypt and he was in prison, he could have maybe said, let me keep my Jewish identity to myself. It's not going to serve me. It's not going to help me. No, he stood up as a proud Jew and let everyone know that he's a Jew. And it's remarkable because we're now in the middle of Hanukkah, and the law is on Hanukkah that we have to publicize the miracle. And that's why the place to put the menorah is in the windowsill so everyone can see it. But Jewish law and the Mishnah and the Talmud says that if you live in a time where there's anti-Semitism and it's a danger to put your menorah in the window because everyone's going to know you're a Jewish home and they may attack you or harm you, Jewish law then says put it in your house on the table, not at the window. And there were many times in Jewish history, unfortunately, where Jews had to follow this ruling. Just recently in the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany during the height of Nazism after Kristallnacht, or of course in the Spanish Inquisition, or during the times of the pogroms in Russia, where Jews were in fear of identifying as Jews, so they hid the menorah in their homes. But what's fascinating to me is that here we are, anti-Semitism is now growing and prevalent like never before. But not only are Jews not hiding their Jewish identity, but like Joseph, we're wearing it as a badge of honor. And more people are going out to celebrate Hanukkah and putting the menorahs on the windows and on the public areas to demonstrate their pride in being Jewish. Never before have we been prouder to be Jewish. We want the world to know we're Jewish. We're not hiding, we're not cowering. Why? Because we see the way of the world, which blindly follows this anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas narrative, which is so absurd and so insane that they can't see the difference between light and darkness. And we say, if this is what the world is about, we want no part of it. We're going to stand tall as Jews. We're going to be proud. We're going to say our values condemn this kind of evil. And how can you support terrorists, murderers, and monsters? And so like never before, there's Jewish pride and a Jewish resurgence. And more people saying, I'm going to wear my Magen David out loud on my neck. I'm going to wear my tefillin proudly. I'm going to be more Jewish. I'm going to lean into my Judaism. Matter of fact, just here in Palm Beach County, up in Juno Beach, there's a Rabbi Label Azagwi, and he hired a artist, a sculptor, to make on the beach of Juno Beach a beautiful menorah, sand menorah castle. And on the first night of Hanukkah, the community came out and lit the menorah with great celebration. But a few nights ago, someone on the beach at night destroyed the entire Hanukkah menorah. And after he turned it into a pile of sand, carved a swastika in the sand in the place of the menorah. And Rabbi Zagu was devastated. And he called a sand artist who lives all the way in northern Florida and told him, and he said, I'm going to get into my car and drive down. We're going to rebuild it bigger and better. And sure enough, he came and rebuilt the beautiful sand castle of the menorah. And he inscribed Happy Hanukkah, but he added another line in Hebrew with the help of Rabbi Azagwi, Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people will live on forever. And last night, hundreds of people came out onto the beach and lit the seventh night of candles, 7 candles on this new menorah. And they danced and they celebrated. And they made a statement once again, our light will never go out. We will stand proud as Jews. And in the face of anti-Semitism and hatred, we will continue to spread our light of goodness and love, the light of Torah, the light of Judaism. Have a happy Hanukkah.